Imagine you have um, zero employees, no corporate headquarters, and like your only business partner is an artificial intelligence.
Right, just you and the AI.
Exactly. And yet you are somehow successfully outbidding a giant, I mean, a massive legacy giant like Lockheed Martin for a major U.S. defense contract.
It sounds completely wild, right?
Yeah.
Like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It really does. But this isn't science fiction set, decades in the future. This kind of structural upheaval is happening right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's completely dissolving the traditional economic map we've all been navigating by for, well, our whole lives.
Right. So welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, and today our mission is exploring a profound societal shift detailed in Beata Mosler's 2026 strategic reports.
And I'm here as your resident analyst to help break down these reports,
Yeah.
specifically looking at the solo economy and her blueprint for what she calls SoloEconomy 2.0, the new social contract.
Yes. And to you listening right now, whether you are currently sitting in a corporate cubicle or maybe you're already out there as a freelancer.
Or honestly, even if you're just someone feeling the immense squeeze of modern living costs.
Exactly. This deep dive is your roadmap. We're looking at how your personal value, your future currency, and your safety net will actually function in an AI-driven world.
Because it is a massive transition.
Yeah.
We are moving away from an era dominated by heavy, predictable corporate hierarchies.
Right.
Yeah.
The old way of doing things.
Exactly. And we're entering this era of hyper-empowered, AI-integrated solopreneurs. But the critical piece we really need to unpack today is why this shift must evolve into a network symbiosis.
Right, because if it doesn't.
If we don't change the underlying rules of this new economy, the empowerment of the individual could quickly turn into a highly destructive, dystopian free-for-all.
A complete mess, basically. So to really grasp the mechanics of SoloEconomy 2.0, we have to start with the pressures that are actively dismantling the old 1.0 system.
Yeah, we often just assume technology is the sole driver of disruption, but the true foundation here is actually demographics.
Demographics and just like survival, because the numbers in the report are jarring.
Oh, they are. It's the extreme atomization of society combined with just an unsustainable cost of living.
Right. Like looking at the Eurostat data for 2025, there are 76.1 million single-person households in the European Union.
Wow.
I know. That is nearly 1/3 of all households, and it represents a growth of over 19% since 2016. We are living these fundamentally individualized lives.
We really are. But the friction point is that the traditional economic model, housing, taxation, consumer pricing, was all built for multi-income households.
Exactly. The math of the 20th century just no longer works for the demographics of the 21st.
Precisely. Because when you look at the household budget survey data across the EU, like 61% of household consumption is now locked into entirely inflexible survival vectors.
Wait, 61% just on the basics?
Yeah, we are talking about housing, water, electricity, basic food. I mean, there is virtually no elasticity left in the average budget.
It's a total pressure cooker. And the data out of Greece is especially alarming. It shows that 62.1% of households literally run out of money before the end of the month.
It's heartbreaking.
It really is. The income only stretches for about 18 days. So when you combine our modern social isolation with that kind of severe, unrelenting financial pressure, something has to give.
Right. The traditional linear wage model where you trade 1 hour of your physical time for a fixed amount of depreciating fiat currency, it just breaks down.
You cannot survive on that math anymore. It's impossible.
And that systemic breakdown is exactly what is sparking this massive macroeconomic reaction. Individuals are realizing they have to decouple their income from their physical labor hours.
Because there are only so many hours in a day, so they're turning to AI.
Yes, and not just as a tool, but as a digital co-founder. Look at the microenterprise boom in the U.S.
Oh, right, the non-employer firms.
Exactly. As of 2025, there are 29.8 million non-employer firms. These are businesses operated by a single individual producing nearly $1.8 trillion in revenue.
Which is, what, over 6% of the U.S. GDP? That's insane for single-person businesses.
It is.
And we see that mirrored in Europe, too. In Poland, single-person microfirms, they call them JDGs, now account for over 77% of all microfirms.
And they generate more than 42% of the jobs in the enterprise sector.
Okay, let's unpack this. Or, well, let's slow down, because my immediate reaction is to be a little skeptical here.
Skeptical how?
Well, isn't this just the gig economy on steroids? Are we essentially just talking about an army of stressed out freelancers hustling on 5 different apps simultaneously just to make rent?
See, what's fascinating here is how the data explicitly refutes that assumption.
Really? How so?
Because gig work is still trading time for money, just on a decentralized app, right? The solo economy is a total redefinition of economic disruption itself.
Okay, walk me through that.
Think about how disruption usually works. The classic textbook idea, Clayton Christensen's theory, is that a tiny, scrappy startup builds a cheaper, simpler product.
Right, and they slowly chip away at a massive corporation's market share.
Exactly. But in the AI economy, the semantic definition of a competitor changes. It is no longer about a small business competing with a big business.
So what is it?
It's about a single individual, armed with an AI co-founder, possessing the operational capacity to challenge massive, established systems.
Oh, wow. So the scale of what one human brain can execute has just gone exponential because the AI handles all the institutional overhead.
Exactly. Let's go back to your opening example about the U.S. defense sector.
Boy, the Lockheed Martin thing.
Yeah. Federal contracts have traditionally been locked down by massive legacy monopolies. But now, those contracts are increasingly being diverted to smaller, radically agile, AI-integrated entities.
Like Anduril and Palantir.
Right. And if a monopolistic, highly rigid sector like defense is susceptible to AI-driven decentralization, I mean, every single sector is.
No one is safe.
Exactly. The individual is no longer a gig worker. They're a hyper-efficient, self-contained economic entity.
But if a single person can operate at the scale of a legacy corporation, how do economists even classify them anymore?
Well, the source material outlines what it calls a 5-pillar macroeconomic architecture.
Okay, and traditionally we only had 4, right?
Right. Traditionally, macroeconomic models only looked at 4 pillars: households, businesses, governments, and states.
But now we have this disruptive 5th pillar.
Yes, the individual. And because this 5th pillar can challenge massive systems, the very definition of what constitutes economic value is detaching from traditional labor and fiat money.
It's a completely new paradigm.
It really is. The solo operator is now operating autonomously on multiple fronts. For example, they act as an energy generator using home microgrids, solar panels, or EV battery storage.
Oh, like feeding power back into the grid.
Exactly. And they act as a money creator, utilizing decentralized finance, or DeFi, to essentially bypass traditional commercial banking.
And the third one.
They are an organization creator, deploying decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs.
Okay, let's slow down for a second and translate some of that, because to a lot of people, it sounds a bit like tech magic.
Fair enough. It can be dense.
When we say someone is using a DAO to create an organization, we are basically talking about a company where the CEO is a piece of code, right?
That is a great way to put it, yeah.
Like the rules of the business, how money is spent, how decisions are made, it's all written transparently into a smart contract on a blockchain, rather than being decided in some closed boardroom.
Yes. You completely remove the middleman and the administrative bloat. And when you do that, the entire cycle of value changes.
Value is no longer a physical commodity you dig out of the ground.
No, nor is it a piece of paper printed by a central bank. According to Moser's reports, the new cycle of value generation is built on 4 distinct elements.
And those are attention and time, identity, tokens, and compute power.
Exactly.
But I want to challenge that first element. How can attention be a currency? I mean, we've been told for a decade that the attention economy is just social media companies harvesting our eyeballs to sell ads.
Right, and in the Web 2 era, that was entirely true. You were the product. But in the AI era, human attention is the ultimate scarce resource for a different reason.
Why? Because AI needs it.
Yes. AI models require high-quality human interaction and feedback to improve and train. So your focus time and your specialized knowledge actually become a tradable asset.
Oh, I see. So you invest that attention to build your digital identity.
Exactly. And we are seeing early, albeit controversial, experiments with this, like WorldCoin using biometric data to prove unique personhood, or individuals launching their own personal brand tokens.
It's like we are trading the historical gold standard for the U standard.
The U standard, I like that.
Yeah, your verifiable identity, your unique human skills, and the intellectual property you generate alongside your AI, that is what creates mathematical trust in the market.
And that trust is quantified and exchanged through tokens, which are essentially programmable data.
But the foundational backing of these tokens, like the new oil that runs this entire decentralized economy, is compute power and energy, right?
Absolutely. The currency of the future is intrinsically tied to the electrical energy and GPU processing power required for AI to function.
So, to you listening, think about this shift in perspective. Your time and your attention are no longer just things you passively spend scrolling through a feed at the end of a long day.
No, not at all.
In this new model, your time and attention are the foundational assets you actively invest to train AI, to build intellectual property, and to literally mint your own personal value.
You basically become the central bank of your own economy.
Which sounds incredibly empowering on an individual level. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Right. But, and this is a huge but, if we stop the analysis right here at what we'll call SoloEconomy 1.0, we're looking at a highly dangerous, unstable landscape.
I was just thinking that, because if everyone is an ultra-powerful, autonomous island armed with their own AI and competing for compute power,
Yeah.
that sounds less like liberation and more like a brutal survival of the fittest scenario.
It leads straight to techno-feudalism.
Techno-feudalism, wow.
Yeah. If the economy is just an arms race for automation, where whoever commands the most servers and the most compute power wins, the wealth inequality will make the Industrial Revolution look mild.
That is terrifying, because the traditional corporate and government safety nets are already dissolving.
Exactly. And hyper-individualism takes over.
Oh.
This is exactly why the strategic report insists that this model necessitates a structural evolution.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because Beata Mosor argues that society cannot survive in that hyper-individualistic state. We have to pivot to SoloEconomy 2.0.
Right. The pivot is essential.
This is what she calls the new social contract. It is a deliberate shift from hyper-individualism to a networked symbiosis.
And the beauty of this pivot is that it doesn't try to put the genie back in the bottle.
Right, we're not going backwards.
Exactly. The autonomous individual remains at the apex of the economy. We don't force everyone back into a corporate cubicle.
So what changes then?
The rules. The rules of how value, trust, and resources are generated and distributed are fundamentally rewritten.
Okay.
The system is recoded at the base layer to maximize global positive impact, rather than just incentivizing personal resource hoarding.
So to make this networked symbiosis actually function in the real world, the sources lay out 4 fundamental mechanics of the economy that have to change.
Yes, the 4 pillars of 2.0.
And I want us to really dig into these because this is the actual blueprint. Pillar number 1 is a conceptual shift from universal basic income, or UBI, to universal basic compute, or UBC.
This is such a crucial distinction to understand.
Yeah, explain that, because everyone talks about UBI.
Right, the old 20th century reaction to automation is UBI the state, taxes the robots, and hands out a minimum monetary safety net to humans to offset job losses.
Right, just giving people cash.
But in the solo economy, giving people depreciating fiat currency is relying on a lagging indicator. The leading indicators of value generation, the actual tools you need to build wealth, are compute power and data access.
But wait, compute power requires physical resources. It requires massive server farms, cooling systems, millions of GPUs, and enormous amounts of electricity.
Yes, it's very resource intensive.
So how can a society guarantee access to servers as a fundamental human right when we, struggle to guarantee access to clean water globally?
It's a fair question, but it's about allocating baseline quantums of energy and processing capability on decentralized networks.
Okay, so I'm not getting a server rack delivered to my apartment.
No. Governments or decentralized public infrastructure networks provide a baseline allowance of GPU time to every citizen. You are being handed a server, you are being handed a cryptographic key that grants you processing bandwidth on a global network.
So what does this all mean? Let's use an analogy. Giving someone UBI in an AI economy is like handing them a fish every month.
Right.
Sure, it keeps them fed for a day, but the fish rots and the fiat money inflates. Universal basic compute is giving them the fishing rod and a map to the ocean.
I love that analogy. It's spot on.
You are giving them the generative power to build algorithms, process data, mint art, or solve local problems that create permanent compounding value for themselves.
Exactly. It ensures that every single individual has the baseline capability required to participate in the cycle of intellectual property creation.
It levels the playing field.
Yes. It prevents an unbridgeable societal divide between the compute rich and the compute poor.
But that raises a massive logistical problem, which leads us right into the second pillar. if you give 8 billion people free baseline compute power, what is stopping a million bad actors from using that processing power to, spam bots, generate deepfakes, or mine useless meme coins?
Well, that is the exact vulnerability that the second pillar, proof of impact, or PI, is designed to solve.
Okay, proof of impact. How does that work?
We have to look at how decentralized networks currently agree on what is true, what we call consensus mechanisms.
Right, like proof of work for Bitcoin.
Yes, exactly. Currently, a lot of mathematical trust on blockchains is generated through proof of work, which involves computers burning massive amounts of energy to solve arbitrary, completely useless cryptographic puzzles just to validate transactions.
Or they use proof of stake.
Right, which often just rewards the people who already hoard the most capital. SoloEconomy 2.0 asks a critical question. If mathematical trust is the foundation of the new economy, why are we wasting global compute power on arbitrary puzzles?
Right. Why solve Sudoku puzzles to mine a coin when the network could rewrite the algorithmic consensus to operate on proof of impact?
Exactly. That compute power is deliberately directed toward processing localized climate models or optimizing a neighborhood's energy grid.
Or like accelerating complex medical protein folding?
Yes. And here is the paradigm shift for the individual. Your personal identity token only gains algorithmic trust, and you only gain liquidity in the market when your compute energy yields measurable positive externalities for the global commons.
But wait, how does a digital blockchain actually know if I did something good in the physical world?
Through a system of decentralized oracles and verified data sensors.
So it's automated.
Yes. If your AI model successfully optimizes traffic flow in a city to reduce emissions, sensors verify the reduction in carbon, feed that data to the blockchain, and the smart contract automatically validates your impact.
Wow. In this new contract, your wealth depends directly and algorithmically on the level of positive impact you bring to the real world.
It structurally aligns personal profit with planetary good.
Which bridges us perfectly to the third pillar, what the report calls regenerative reputation. Because if my wealth is tied to my impact, my reputation is no longer just my credit score or like my follower count.
Exactly. In the old Web 2 system, identity and reputation were tied to attention harvesting, outrage, and often highly predatory business models.
Yeah, totally.
Regenerative reputation means the value of your personal currency is cryptographically pegged to how much friction you remove from the lives of others.
So your currency only appreciates if your creations clean the environment, educate the collective, or make a system more efficient.
It is a built-in algorithmic disincentive for exploitation.
You literally cannot become a solo billionaire in this construct unless your automated systems have tangibly elevated millions of other people in the network.
Right. You have to lift the floor for everyone else in order to raise your own ceiling.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps most vital pillar of SoloEconomy 2.0, the safety net.
Yes.
Because if we dismantle the traditional corporation and if the nuclear multi-income household is fading, what happens when someone falls through the cracks?
It's a huge concern. And the answer in Moser's framework is liquid microteams, or symbiotic DAOs.
Let's ground this in reality for a second. Say I'm a freelance graphic designer or, an ecosystem orchestrator operating in this solo economy.
Okay.
I get into a car crash, and I physically cannot work for 6 months. In the old system, maybe I had short-term disability insurance through my employer's HR department. In this new, decentralized world, do I just starve?
Not at all. The death of the corporate hierarchy does not mean the death of human community.
Okay, so what happens?
In a liquid microteam, solopreneurs voluntarily pool fractions of their generated tokens and their compute power into highly localized AI-managed decentralized networks.
So you join a symbiotic DAO based on shared values or geographic proximity.
Yes. So if a node in this network, meaning a human member of this microteam, faces a medical crisis, the smart contracts governing the DAO recognize the verified medical data.
And they instantly reroute compute power and token liquidity to support them.
Exactly. There are no claims adjusters to fight with, no HR forms to fill out.
It provides the financial safety and the collective bargaining power of a massive corporation, but without the centralized hierarchical control.
It is a formalized, automated mutual aid network.
It's essentially a decentralized chosen family. And tell me if I'm way off here, are we basically just coding human empathy into smart contracts?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is exactly what it is.
That's profound.
It really is.
Yeah.
The old society relied on the traditional household and the massive corporation as the basic units of survival. The new society is based on small, highly fluid, decentralized communities connected entirely by shared values and verifiable impact.
And when you put these four pillars of Solo Economy 2.0 together, the entire cycle of human value changes.
Completely.
You direct your attention and your universal basic compute towards solving a high-value pro-social problem. Your identity gains value based on the verified real-world proof of impact of your solution.
Right. And then the network mints tokens reflecting that regenerative reputation.
And you exchange those tokens for scalable compute power, which validates the network by solving more challenges, which in turn funds your liquid micro team.
By rewriting the base layer algorithms to reward positive externalities, the global economy transforms. It becomes a massively parallel, decentralized supercomputer dedicated to planetary flourishing.
So the ultimate selfish act, increasing the financial value of your own identity token, becomes mathematically and perfectly aligned with the ultimate selfless act of solving global problems. Exactly. It's a brilliant synthesis.
It really is an incredibly hopeful, tangible vision for what could otherwise be a very frightening technological transition.
It is.
To summarize our journey today, we started by looking at the harsh reality of the atomized, financially squeezed individual. We saw how the inflexible pressures of modern life are forcing a massive shift toward the hyper-productive AI solopreneur.
But we also acknowledge the severe danger of techno-feudalism if we start there.
Right. And that led us to the absolute necessity of SoloEconomy 2.0, a network symbiosis where universal basic compute, proof of impact, regenerative reputation, and liquid microteams completely replace the outdated corporate hierarchies and traditional welfare states.
And, this raises an important question, and it's one the sources touch on regarding immediate policy implications.
How about education?
Yes. If we are genuinely moving to this Solo Economy 2.0 model, our national education systems have to drastically and urgently pivot.
They can't just keep doing what they're doing. No, they can no longer focus on training hyper-specialized workers who are destined to sit quietly in corporate hierarchies. They have to focus on empowering systemic thinkers who are capable of orchestrating entire AI ecosystems.
And that brings us right back to you, the listener. If Solo Economy 2.0 demands systemic thinkers whose very currency is proof of impact, how do you personally begin untraining your brain from employee mode starting tomorrow?
What is the very first industrial-era habit you need to break in order to become an ecosystem orchestrator?
It's something you really need to mull over as this transition accelerates. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go out there and start building your regenerative reputation. We'll catch you next time.